Purdue running backs coach Lamar Conard joins our show today with a deep look into New York Giants running back Tyrone Tracy, the team's fifth round draft pick. That's coming your way next on the Locked On Giants podcast.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily New York Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's Locked On Giants podcast is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and it's a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on the classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play. Hello, New York Giant fans, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast family, your team every day. I'm your host, Patricia Traina, P-Train, credential member of the New York Giants media for Locked On, as well as the Giants team page over on the Fan Nation Network. Find us at si.com/NFL/Giants. And a special welcome on in to my Blue Crew community members, my everydayers, my newcomers, and everybody in between. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with us on the Locked On Giants podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, click the little notification bell. All of that helps us out tremendously. And on today's Locked On Giants podcast, we're going to hear from Purdue running backs coach Lamar Conard. He was kind enough to do a telephone interview with me in between recruiting excursions that he was on. So I don't have video for this one. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, I do have the audio. Coach Conard was excellent, very detailed. I did a little piece on our interview actually for Giants Country over on si.com. If you want to check that out, I'll link that in the show notes. But, these coaches this time of year, they're doing recruiting. So sometimes I can get them on video. Sometimes I can't. This one, I unfortunately couldn't. But all the same, hope you enjoy it. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. This is Purdue running backs coach Lamar Conard. We want to talk about one of your students, Tyrone Tracy Jr., very impressive young man. I guess the obvious place to start here is he's only been at running back for 1 year, and I'm just kind of wondering, what went into the conversion with him?
So there's a bit of a backstory. I'll keep it brief. Coming out of high school, he was a tremendous all-around offensive talent. I think he ran for 1,000, caught for 1,000, but most people saw him as a receiver coming out of high school. At the time, I was one of the few coaches who thought he was a tailback. I wasn't in a position to be able to get him to commit to me. But you fast forward, and I get the job at Purdue, and he is now already transferred to Purdue. And he transferred from Iowa because there's some general frustration, like, hey, I think I should be more productive. Maybe a change of scenery would work. His first year at Purdue, he still played receiver, and it didn't turn out the way he wanted. So when I got there, the first conversation with the coach was, I believe he's a tailback. I think he's a running back. And he thought that we needed to find a way to get him the football. Like, what's the best way? And running back was the decision. We came to an agreement, and we had to convince him. Fortunately, I have a relationship with his family. I coached his two younger brothers at Miami of Ohio before I took the job at Purdue. So there was already some trust built in my ability to help him achieve his goals. So he's a young man of faith. So he spent some time praying on it and trying to do his research to see if this would be the best thing for his career. And ultimately, he came to the same conclusion as we did. And he was all in, and we got to work.
You mentioned that you saw him as a tailback. I mean, what jumped out at you that made you say, oh, yeah, this young man's definitely going to be better at this position?
Well, if you just watch how he runs, right? Even at receiver, when he would catch the ball, you can't tackle him. And it's not that he can make you miss in space, all that receiver stuff, but it was his contact runs. He was just hard to get on the ground. He would bounce off of people. He'd run through people, run through defenders. And he did the same thing at tailback. And in my brain, I'm like, man, he's 5'11", he's 180 pounds. He's only going to get bigger, faster, stronger. He moves like at times he moves with the strength and explosion of a tailback. 180 as a receiver, more of a slot guy, but boy, he's powerful. So he had the traits that I think married up to modern football at tailback, right? Mm-hmm. There aren't very many Derrick Henrys anymore, right? The big, just overpowering guys. You got to have some elusiveness while still being able to run through contact, stay on your feet, and catch the ball out in space. And then if I watched this film when he was at Iowa, and I thought the same thing. Once the ball's in his hands, he's a nightmare. He's dangerous. So I felt like if I do get the chance to coach him one day, and he wants to maximize his talent, it's a lot easier just to turn and hand a guy the ball than to throw it to him. There's so many other variables that go into play when you're talking about passing the football. Thankfully, he saw it the same way I did. I was able to give him a few examples, and he did his research, and it made sense to him. And then, he had to put in the work to put on the extra weight, which he did. He put on about 10 pounds. The first time we put on pads, I saw him go and really embrace the pass protection part, which was the biggest concern. I knew we had one because with the ball in his hands, he was already special. But doing the dirty work that you have to do at tailback is not always easy mm-hmm. Or a job that you want to do. You know what I mean? He didn't shy away from it. So,
how much does his background at receiver help him actually as a running back?
You know what? I think it helps him a great deal because, he spent so much time on running precision routes, right? Getting in and out of breaks, having to identify coverages. So he understood, hey, do I need to sit this route down or do I need to, carry another two steps before I break this thing off? So he was already comfortable playing in space, doing the skill things, catching the ball naturally. And if you think about modern football, if you're a tailback today, you might have 15 carries, but there's 5 or 6 touches for you out of the backfield catching the ball, which back in the day would have just been 20 carries. So there was a real comfort for him, or being able to start outside the box, motion you back in, start in the box, motion you out. He was comfortable with all those things. And then obviously learning the entire offense, he understands the pass concepts, right? So if we put him out there, he already understands alignment, assignment as a receiver. So when you move that skill set into the box, he was already comfortable being able to stick his foot in the ground, stop, start, change direction. So that part, he had it. The concern was, hey, physically, can I hold up? Can I do this job, right? I'm not blocking a nickel or a safety or a corner. I'm blocking a 6'2", 240-pound linebacker. I'm having the chip on a 6'4", 270-pound defensive end, right? So once he changed his body and I instilled in him or installed some technique things that would help him from a leverage standpoint to be able to block a blitzing linebacker, to be able to chip a defensive end. He understood it. You know what? If I use the right technique, if I take the coaching, it's no different than playing receiver, right? I just have to prepare myself differently day to day than I would if I played receiver. And when you have, in my opinion, he is a incredible athlete. He always has been. He's just a great football player. Those guys can adjust. And he did. Because his confidence level is high. So in his mind, hey, if I put in the work, I'll be able to get the job done. And that's what he did. He went and put in the work, and, to his credit, it all worked itself out.
You mentioned, he worked on his technique for blocking. I was going to ask you actually about his pass protection, because that's obviously the quickest way for a young running back to get on the field. I mean, do you feel that he is NFL ready with that, given that he's only had really 1 year doing it from the backfield?
Yeah. So I would have, this time last year, I would have told you he still got some work to do. He is a tremendous student. And for him, it was understanding the why, right? Why I have to block him this way, why I need to put my body in this position, why I need to put on the 10 pounds to help me with this guy, why I need to hit him first versus going and standing and taking the charge, why I need to have my hands inside out, all these little things. So this is the great thing about me as a teacher. I'm only as good as my student. He took the time, he took the extra time, he put in the extra work to study film, to come and do the X's and O's with me, and do the extra studying on his own to help him elevate his football IQ. Well, now if you walk on the field with his talent, he's just more confident. And if he makes a mistake, which he made mistakes, particularly earlier in the year, he knew what to do to correct them. He was already working ahead, if that makes sense, because he knew he was on a time crunch. And so most of the time when he made a mistake early, it was just because he was a little too passive in the protections. He was waiting. And, again, the light bulb went off because, you get embarrassed. Hey, man, I just got ran over. I gave up a quarterback sack. Well, Tyrone, if you hit him first, you got to go get him. You got to go plug that gap. You cannot wait, but it all starts pre-snap. Right? I've got to be able to identify what's happening faster. You've got to stay attached with the offensive line, right? We work together. And it was a wonderful thing to watch, the light bulb go off. Because if there's a pass protection situation, he no longer waited for the offensive line or the quarterback to make their reads. He was standing right behind the center, talking with our center about, hey, the point is here. Hey, I got the safety. He's walked out. That's a confidence thing. And he made a huge jump. And that's his work. He put in the work and became our best blocking running back. And then obviously his strength gains, once he embraced, I'm going to hit him first, and it worked. Again, his confidence grew again. That is what I like to call, he's a professional. If you're willing to put in the work, you got to put in the time, you got to put in the extra work, then you'll have a chance to accomplish it. But it's the difference between being a draftable player and being a free agent or not making it at all is, can you execute it and can you put it on film, because you are what you are on film. And he took that to heart. So yes, in my opinion, the more reps, the more opportunity he gets to do it, he will continue to improve in that area. And I think he is right there in terms of being able to handle all that. But it's just because of how he prepares. Physically, he'll be fine. But his mental aptitude is what separates him, in my opinion. It allowed him to have the success that he's had to this point.
All right, Giant fans, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag on the play. You already talked about that. But there's just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. And the more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers that you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton of people include their own unique minigames like digging for treasure or robot pachinko machines. And there's always new timed events to help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it right now for free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. How is his vision in terms of, spotting a crease in between the tackles? I know a lot of young running backs like to bounce it outside. Do you see him having the patience and the vision to find those creases and hit them?
I do. That's one of his, in my opinion, one of his elite traits he's had since he was playing Pop Warner football. Some guys just have it. Some guys just have it, and he does. He made runs this year. Like, I would love to tell you it's me as his coach, but there's some runs he made this year where situationally he just knew it's 3rd and 3. Hey, the hold plug's here. Like, hey, the linebacker's flowing, stick my foot in the ground and really take skin off the hip of this backside tackle. I can talk about it all I want, but do you have the ability to do it? Stop on a dime, turn, right? Wait for the pulling guard or pulling tackle to fit his run. Can you help set up the block? And again, there's times earlier in the season he's a little impatient, but again, we're talking about a kid who really spends extra time on watching film, trying to improve his craft. And it did. Early in the season, a little impatient. Later in the season, man, his timing was fantastic. He understood that, hey, man, if I just let this block take place, I'm going to get by this defender before he gets off the block. And again, as a tailback, the good thing is that he doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires. You could say the bad thing is that he doesn't have a lot of reps, and he hasn't had a lot of opportunities to really be a polished tailback. Well, that's the balancing act. I think that the more reps he gets, the more opportunities he gets, the better he'll be. And if you watch the course of the past season, that's exactly what happened. His confidence just grew and grew and grew. So I don't see it as a detriment. I see it as, if you're Coach Joel Thomas, I have a blank slate to a larger degree with very few coached bad habits. I'll be able to correct this, particularly if I have a student who has the aptitude and willingness to make the adjustments necessary.
That said, where can he grow? What do you think the most important area does he need to grow in his development?
As a running back coach, I'm always going to say pass protection. And the league in particular is such a pass-first game today. Just making sure that he can process, identify, understand the totality of the offense quicker once you get on the field, right? The NFL game is a lot faster in that front seven. Those guys are professionals. That's all they do is football. So just ability to process the information a little bit faster, particularly, in passing situations. But beyond that, I think he just needs reps, at the position. I don't think it's some hey, man, he needs to get better at working at, his change of direction, his ability to read this block or that block. I think it's just reps. He needs to be out there at OTAs, taking reps. He needs to be in camp, taking the reps. Like, hey, coach, give it to me again, or, take every rep you can. I think that's where his boom. That's the key, right? The opportunity. Is he going to get the opportunity to get the reps he needs to continue to just build that confidence, that every down confidence that you need, to master the offense.
Now, he also did kickoff returns, if I'm not mistaken, for Purdue.
Yes, ma'am.
That combination that of running back and receiver, can you just talk about how that helps him, especially with this new NFL kickoff rule that was just adopted, how maybe that's going to be an advantage for him?
Yeah. Well, I think the first and foremost, a kickoff return is very much like a run play, right? You got guys up in front of you blocking for you. You got to be able to find a crease and all that stuff. The flip side is you're catching the ball so deep, it's to some degree, receiverish. You know what I mean? Like, I got to catch a ball with guys running at me. I know they're a little closer now, but his ability to be comfortable catching the ball, and then his confidence in running through small creases, it's just a great combination for him. And then he obviously understands how hard the job is to be a blocker on kickoff, because he's done the job as well. To me, that's where he has a chance to really have an imprint there. I don't think he's afraid. If you want to do that job with those 10 guys sprinting down the field full speed at you, you got to be willing to run at defenders, to set up blocks, and run through contact. And I think that's one of his elite traits, is the ability to run through contact and stay on his feet through contact. So I think it'll be a huge attribute for his long-term success.
Hey, Giant fans, it's winner takes all time in the NBA and NHL. And FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. If you're like me and you're liking the New York Knicks' odds or the New York Rangers' odds as they pursue championship or immortality in their respective sports, then you will want to be part of the action. Right now, when you sign up for an account with FanDuel, you will get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon today and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Tell me about some of his, his intangibles. What kind of a player is he in the locker room? What kind of a teammate? That sort of stuff.
Oh man, he's awesome. He is. I know he's a little bit older, but he just has an infectious personality. He's just a joy to be around. He's not the class clown by any means. He just brings life to the party, if that makes sense. He has this big smile. He loves playing ball. I think he just loves people. He makes the people around him better. He's not selfish. I've said this. He made my room so much better. He was willing to help the younger players. He wasn't worried about, hey, this guy's going to beat me out, take my reps. I'm trying to win. We all want to win. If we all have success, I have success. You have success. Leadership. Just a natural, confident leadership. He holds each other accountable. He holds his teammates accountable, and it's in part because he holds himself accountable to such a high regard. It's hard to find today, in my opinion, in non-quarterbacks and skill position guys. He steps to the front. He'll grab the mic. He'll represent your team, your organization well. He's just an awesome, infectious personality, and he's unique, man. He does everyday things that non-athletes do, man. He loves the bowl. He's going to go and play, video games. He wants to go to do, carnival rides and talk to kids and just be a regular guy. He's just awesome. Just an infectious, vibrant personality.
Who loves life, apparently.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And he speaks on his faith, which, in today's world, a lot of kids, a lot of young folks don't want to talk about the things that keep them grounded. He does that, vocally, proudly, which is awesome.
Given where he currently is in his development, if you were to advise the Giants as to what an ideal role would be for him to start off, and I'm talking not necessarily an every down back, but maybe third down specialist or whatever, what would you like to see him maybe start off doing with the Giants?
Oh, man. Oh, gosh. That's not for me to say, but I think you drafted him as a tailback, give him the opportunity to go, and maybe he's not your first team guy, but put him out there and don't be afraid to let him make the mistakes, right? Because he'll fix them. If he's not prepared, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's not going to blame anybody else but himself. Mm-hmm. But he wants to be put in the fire. He wants that pressure. Hey, Tyrone, we're gonna throw you out there with the first team, see what you got. Can you get lined up? Can you identify the pressure from the boundary here? So I would like to see that, right? Then obviously, just patience in general. Hey, man, we're going to put you out there, let you roll. Make sure you have this corrected tomorrow. That for me. But I'm more aggressive in that sense. The easiest way to find out if a kid is ready is to put him out there, right? Put him out there with the men who know the system, who will hold him accountable. Hey, rookie, you got to get your stuff together, because I know how he will respond. You don't have to approach him with kid gloves, if that makes sense.
No, that definitely makes sense. And then finally, Coach, as you prepare to send him out into the world, out to the New York Giants, if it's not too personal, can you share any advice that you gave to him or that you would have for him as he prepares to take this next step in his journey?
Yeah. The first thing I told him is there's an immense sense of pride from from me, the people in his community, where he grew up at, his high school. I know his high school coach as well, his family. You have spent your life preparing for this moment. Own it. Live in it, because you're ready. His family they're just outstanding people. They've prepared you. You're ready for the moment. Don't flinch. Don't back down. Lean into it, and your greatness will show. And the people will embrace you. As long as you are honest and authentic with them, they'll see who you are, and they will gravitate to you. So just go be great.
Well, he sounds like an amazing young man.
He is, and he's one of a kind. He is. I've always felt that the family is amazing, but he's what you want. I like to say he's a throwback football player. My favorite football player, my running back, all that stuff is I use Walter Payton as the standard, and he falls in line of just being a great football player. He just loves football, which is fun to coach.
Sure. It helps when they're interested in what you're teaching.
Absolutely. That great students. It's not me. He's made me a better teacher. He's made me a better coach, and that is why you do the job.
Well, that sounds awesome. I can't wait to meet him when he comes in next week. Just real quick, do you have, you mentioned he likes to bowl and he has some interest that maybe you wouldn't expect a football player to have. I always look for that human interest angle. Do you have anything that you can suggest that I can ask him about?
Let's say just the competition, the friendly competition that he has between him and his brothers and his dad. If you just talk about bowling, I mean, it is serious in the Tracy household. They got their own balls, shoes, all that stuff. And it is, they poke each other and they'll challenge each other, and the competition is high, but they are such a loving family, and respectful to each other. But when it comes to competition, it doesn't matter what the sport is. You could be playing spades, cards, bowling, basketball. He will always tell you he's going to win.
That's awesome. That's what you want. That is what you want.
Absolutely.
Anyway, thank you so much for your time. Good luck on your recruiting efforts, and of course on the upcoming season. Hope you guys do well. All right, Giant fans, that's going to do it for this edition of the Locked On Giants podcast. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Keep it here all week long. We're going to have rookie mini camp later on in the week, and I, of course, will have shows for you on that, interviews, all kinds of stuff. So make sure you are following me on social media, on X at Patricia_Traina, Traina. Also on Instagram and Threads at Patty Traina, PATTITRAINA. I will see you again tomorrow, Giant fans.